everybody screws up when they paint. Sometimes everyone has, right? But how many people can say that they screwed up because of Batman? I can. Let me explain. Now, I'm not saying that Batman physically came in and just kind of, kind of
Where are you?
looking over my shoulder and just grabbed my paintbrush and moved it around when I was trying to paint or anything like that. But it could. I'm saying that because of the animated TV show Batman, I tried something that I wasn't ready for and I just bombed. Okay. And so to kind of go into a little more detail on that, some of you may be familiar with this rule of color called the 60-30-10 rule. Okay. And it's a simple rule. It's that when you put a room together or you paint a painting or you do an opening title for Batman, 60% of the image, the picture, the room is one color. 30% is another color. And then 10% is a final different color. And that 10% color is generally the color that catches your eye the most, right? Because the 60% is the muddy in the room. The 30% is, oh, that's something that's different. And then the 10% is there's so little of it that your eyes are just naturally drawn to it. And Batman was famous for this. Okay. And I watched the show as a kid, and when I saw the stills from the titles, I just thought, man, that has got to be the coolest way to paint that there is. And as a painter, I'm always looking for ways that are artistic and cool and honestly easy. And I thought 60-30-10. What's easier than that? You're literally painting a model with 3 colors. That's got to be cool, right? Maybe. Maybe it is. But honest truth, not the way that I did it. So a lot of you have heard me talk about Warcrow. Okay, and just really, really quick. Warcrow is a tabletop skirmisher, okay, that's set in a fantasy world. Okay, and they have their elves, they have their humans, they have their body twisted undead elf people faction that's awesome and amazing, and you should totally learn about it. I painted one a few weeks back, which you can check out here. The Scions of Yaldabaoth, which, awesome faction. Okay, one of my easily my favorite faction. But they recently just came out with the dwarves. Okay, and the dwarves of this world are, when you think of dwarves, I mean, it's what you think of. Small, stocky, muscular, axe wielding, live underground, awesome with machinery / blacksmithing. They have all of those amazing, cool stereotypes of fantasy. Okay, but they also have some other stuff, like their cities come down from the top of the mountains. They build them downward like stalagmites, tights, whichever, the one that goes down. And they're really cool. And as far as a faction goes, they're very for the greater good. Almost. But they have a plan, and they're following the plan, and the plan ends with them on top. And so they are just doing everything that follows the plan. And anyway, brand new faction that came out, really, really cool. And as far as dwarven miniatures go, they're incredible. They are awesome. And so Corvus Belli sent me a box, and they were like, hey, little D, paint these for us. And I was like, I'm going to try out my Batman color scheme on the dwarves, because I thought I could do this. It'll be really, really cool. And so I was searching all day trying to find what I thought would be a good color scheme, because Yeah, I mean, they have a color scheme that, makes sense, but why would I follow that? I'm going to do my own thing. And I came up with this dark gray and then like a bluish white and an orange. And I thought this is going to look really, really cool. The orange was going to be my 10, and it was going to be this thing that just caught your eye. It would be the gem. It would be the little things on this miniature. And so I spent a couple hours painting this dwarf, and I hated it. Not the model. The model's absolutely fantastic. It's great. But I hated the colors that I put on it. I hated how it looked. And I thought to myself, maybe the 10-30, 60-30-10 rule or style doesn't work on miniatures. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope that I'm wrong. Okay. But it made me just kind of look at this miniature and think, I got to do something better. These companies, they send content creators models and they're like, hey, paint this model. And I could literally paint it like terrible, which I don't think my paint job is bad. I just think my colors are horrible and I don't like how it turned out. And maybe somebody would love it. But to me as a painter, I didn't like it. And I thought I need to try something else. So I thought to myself, this time I'll do it the way that Corvus Belli wants me to do it. Well, with a caveat. I wasn't going to look at their art and be like, I'm going to copy this art. But I was going to look through the lore of this faction and find out what I thought this faction would wear. And the funny thing is that they actually have this whole part that's devoted to the metals that they use, and I mean, if you're painting armor's made of metal, you got to, go through this. And so it has all these different, it's called orichalcum, basically, which is like this ore that is affected by magic and all this other stuff. And so when you combine orichalcum with steel or other metals, it gives cool qualities to the metal, like making it super light but extremely durable and orange. So I thought, well, I'll paint a lot of the armor orange, but then they have other stuff like the blue metal that comes out of it is for equipment and for building and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, his shield is a giant door that's got hinges on it and stuff, so those will be blue, and they use this green stuff for the tips of weapons and things like that. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do green on the tip of the blade. And honestly, in the end, and you might think I'm crazy because I tried something that just did not work. And so what did I do after that? Well, I tried painting something in a way I've never done before, using colors I'm unfamiliar with. I basically just tried something new again.
You're not too bright, are you?
Again. But it didn't. Well, that's not true. For a second it did. But I pushed through it and I learned something. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Originally, I airbrushed this brown, okay? Not like an orangish brown, because I thought, well, if I'm going to paint it orange, I want it to be like a dark orange. Neon orange is cool, but our dwarf's going to be running around in neon orange? Maybe if they were like cyberpunk dwarves. A future thought. But anyway, I've never done that before, where I started from this brown color to do orange. I've done red armor, I've done normal silver armor and things like that, but I've never worked on orange. And the funny thing is that I thought, if I have my orange and I have my white, I can just upgrade my orange to a brighter orange to show off the shine of the metal, right? Using white. And I hated how it looked because it didn't look like it was shining. It looked like it was turning white, and it became like a pastel because of the white, and I've always kind of hung by that fact of well, you need to upgrade the colors with white to make them brighter. And So as I was doing this whole process, I hated it. And I thought, well, what would make orange brighter? And I thought, well, maybe yellow. Let's try yellow. And I love it. I love how it turned out. You know, with red, I did white and it made it like a pink, you know, and I just kept thinking, man, I wish I had something else. I wish it wasn't so pink. I wish it was just like a shinier red. And I ended up mixing stuff together and making a not so pink red. I think it was almost an orangish red. And I liked that better. You know, this hard and fast rule that I've been following since I started painting of add white to it to make it look shiny doesn't always apply. I've been painting this guy for 2 hours now, and it doesn't seem like I've gotten that far, but honestly, I love what I've done. And it's been a learning experience the whole way. Like, I'm trying to find a way to get there and do it faster. Spraying it with that dark brown orange was genius. Like, I love it. Makes it easier. Orange is one of those colors. It's a little harder. It's like yellow, a little harder to put down on things. But because of that base coat there, it just looks incredible, I think. And I'm trying to hold true to the lore of Warcrow, which, I mean, it's cool, right? Like, everyone wants to do things their own way. And I feel like I managed to do that as well as following true with the lore of it. I'm not telling you have to do that. I just think, you know, when a company sends you miniatures, they want it to look nice, maybe close to theirs. I don't know. And it's the only one that's going to Corvus Belli, sorry. But I learned so much just from painting this and from screwing up 2 times in a row. You can't give up. It's that simple. This wasn't supposed to be a pep talk, but you can't give up. When you paint, if you don't like it, start over. This guy, I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna repaint him. I'm gonna change how he looks so that he looks more like this guy. And that's okay. You know, yes, it's time gone. That didn't, I can't get it back. But I don't feel like it was wasted either, because I learned definitely what I didn't like, and I learned that I have to think things through a little more before I start. Okay. And will that color scheme work? Will the 60-30-10 work? I'm going to come back to it. Like, even as I was doing this guy, I was like, man, that's a lot of orange. Okay. But then I threw in blue, and then I threw in a little bit of green. I mean, maybe I'll still do it 60-30-10. If you want to find out, like, subscribe. We'll finish this guy. I'll definitely do another video on him because it's just been so fun to paint, and it's just, I don't know. I want to show it off. Let's be honest. That's what it comes down to. I want to show it off in a video and be like, look at this cool thing I did. And if that interests you at all, and you want to see more about my learning experience and maybe learn some stuff for yourself, stick around. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell. You'll get notified of when I put out videos. And I try to make them fun. This one's a little different than what I've been doing lately, but I'm trying this whole new thing where I'm a little bit more me. Okay, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But thank you for sticking around, and thank you for watching this. And please let me know in the comments below, what did you learn the hard way? Save me from having to learn it the hard way too. And if you got any other advice for how to make oranges or reds or greens or other colors look better, like something that you follow to do that, I would love to hear what it is, because I've been doing just white for a long time. And now I'm thinking, I gotta try all sorts of stuff. So I'm super excited for that. And as always, don't spend so much time building your world, painting your models, that you forget to spend some time in them. Until next time.